So what are cap rates really all about, and how can you make a low cap rate deal work in like a Class C, Class B property? We've talked about how to make low cap rates work on large Class A assets, core plus. But if you're looking at a C or a B, what do the cap rates really mean, and how can you use them, and how can you make money with a low cap rate deal? So cap rates, as we discussed before, is the net operating income divided by the purchase price of the property. That's what the actual cap rate is. So in some forms, it does gauge the return on a cash investment, an unlevered return. At its truest sense, that's really what it measures for a stabilized asset. So the cap rate is only meaningful in terms of gauging a rate of return for a stabilized asset. So if the property has no income or has low income, the cap rate really doesn't mean a whole lot. So you can't always look at the cap rate going in. You have to look at what is the ultimate value of the property. So just like any real estate deal, if you're building it, if you're buying and selling, if you're doing a value add play, it really boils down to what is the value of the property at the end when you finish the business plan. So it's really ultimately about how much value can you drive from the business plan in terms of increasing the income through renovations, operational efficiencies, things like that. So at the end of the day, the only meaningful cap rate is the cap rate at exit. And you need to make sure that you estimate and anticipate the cap rate being higher on exit than it is when you went in. You have to conservatively assume that cap rates are going to be a little bit higher 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road than they are right now. We just don't know what the market's going to look like and what the demand will look like for these assets down the road. So you got to be conservative and project that you will not have as low of a cap rate when you sell. So that's really how cap rates are used. And again, they're not really a key component of the decision of buying a value add. If the property has no income, low income, if you're developing a property, well, then cap rates don't do you any good on the purchase or on the development side. But they mean everything on the back end, because that's what investors look at in terms of gauging markets, valuations, things like that. Banks, appraisers, they look at stabilized assets and the cap rates. But when you're going in, it's all about the value add. It's all about how much value are you creating on the back end, just like you're flipping a house, just like you're building something ground up. It's all about the income that you can drive and what the value of that income is in the marketplace at exit. So that's another way to look at cap rates. They are not the be-all, end-all of gauging an investment. The most important things are cash on cash, average annual rate of return, the average cash on cash return throughout the years, you average it out, and then the internal rate of return, which is a very complicated formula, but basically measures the return on the investment over time. So those are the metrics you really want to look at when you're evaluating an investment that has little or no income, and the cap rates might be low going in, but with a few tweaks, adjustments, increases of income, you might have a very attractive cap rate once you do your business plan and on exit.